Hi everyone, I'm Donna, Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the new moon. It's on December 1st, it's at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, and this new moon makes a square to Saturn. But also in the chart, Venus is trine Uranus. So this is kind of like when you were in high school and you wanted to jump the fence to go to lunch, but you run smack dab into the principal. What does that mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. So a new moon is a new beginning, and this one happens to fall at the beginning of the month, and so it can really feel like a fresh start. Unfortunately, it's making that square to Saturn. And Saturn represents your responsibilities, or it represents some authority figure telling you what your responsibilities are. Now, at the same time, Venus is making a trine to Uranus, and Venus is what you desire, and Uranus is excitement and novelty, and so you may be torn between what you want to do and what you feel you should do. Or even if you decide that you're just going to do what you want to do, there's some authority figure like your boss or your father or your partner standing over your shoulder telling you what you should be doing. So over the course of this new moon period, it would be good to do your homework and then go play, eat your vegetables and then have dessert. Basically get the work done and then go have fun. Now there are a couple other things highlighted in this chart, and that is that Mercury is going retrograde, or actually by the time you hear this might be retrograde already. It's retrograde in Sagittarius. It is from November 25th to December 15. So this gives you the opportunity to go back and do Sagittarius-like things. And so that might mean that you are thinking about going back to school, or if you're in school, of redoubling your efforts to get good grades, or maybe you downloaded an educational course, and so you want to finish the course. You want to get back to studying that. You may be very drawn to traveling because Sagittarius rules travel, and you may want to travel, especially to a place you've already been. Or you may be reminiscing about a place that you traveled to. Mercury in Sagittarius also can be legal matters, but that's actually something that if it's during the retrograde and you must do it, then of course you have to do it. But if you can avoid it, because during Mercury retrograde, you don't want to do anything you don't want to repeat. So, but it's quite possible that something comes up where a legal matter that you thought was finished, now there's still some paperwork to do, or there's still, some more parts of it that need to be completed. Now, the purpose of the retrograde energy is to bring us back to complete something. Sometimes that means that we have to do difficult things because those did not get completed. But as much as Mercury retrograde is a pain, it also has a benefit, and that is that during this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, if you start to study something, especially something like a foreign language or some difficult subject, every time in the future that Mercury goes retrograde, you'll be drawn to go study that subject again. So it's very good for getting you to do something on a regular basis, or to continue the momentum of something. Now, it's generally okay to travel on Mercury retrograde. Just be aware that your luggage may not go with you. And so that means that you may want to carry everything on, or at least have a very open idea about when your luggage might arrive. Now, the other big news is that Mars is going to go retrograde. It's going to go retrograde on December 6th. It is going to start in Leo and then go back into Cancer all the way to 17 degrees, where it will turn direct on February 23rd. So it's a long retrograde. Mars only goes retrograde once every 2 years, and so it tends to be a long period. So while Mercury retrograde brings us back people from the past and phone calls that we should have made and paperwork we should have done, Mars is about actions that we should have done. And so this is more about doing something, completing something. And it also can bring up where we're angry about something, where we feel frustrated, or where we feel that we're doing something for basic survival. But the most important thing during Mars retrograde is don't try to push forward, but go back and fix things or work on things or resolve things from the past. And so if you, like in our lives these days, we're so much about pushing forward, but in nature, we always see that there's a time for things to recede or to move back and consolidate. And so we see that with the ocean and the tides and the waves themselves. We see that with the seasons where everything blooms for a while and then the leaves fall off and then we get winter. So this is one of those times where it's necessary for us to go back and fix things or work on things that maybe is going to make us stronger in the future, or is it maybe something that is going to give us the foundation to build something better? And if you want to know more about the transits that are going on in your chart, I do readings. There is a link in the description. Also, I can send you a copy of your chart, a PDF of your chart. It has a lot of information on it, and that can help you follow along when we're doing these videos. That is free, and so there's a link in the description. I also have a newsletter, and that gives the different aspects that are unfolding over the course of the month. There is a link in the description for the newsletter. All right, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, this new moon and these retrograde planets are going to connect travel and education and legal matters to your home and your family. And so when you think about the different things that could be something about, that you are working with your landlord to extend your lease, or maybe you're buying a new home. Perhaps you are looking at education and maybe one of your kids is applying to go to school somewhere else, or you're looking to take the family on a trip. And this is where the retrograde energy can kind of, entangle things. Now, when it comes to more emotional things, and these are things that are less practical, this is kind of like a little conflict between maybe a family tradition and your current beliefs, or maybe there are some limiting beliefs connected to upbringing. And so that is with the retrograde, the opportunity to go back and unravel that. And, that could be done through journaling or meditation or talking to someone. But of course, this retrograde period may not be anything that intense. It may just be that it's difficult to get the tickets that you want to go see grandma who lives in another state or another country. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's making a trine to Mars, that same Mars that's going to be going retrograde. So that would indicate that either you're trying to get together with someone and you keep missing each other. The timing doesn't work. They're out of town when you're in town, that sort of thing. Or that someone that you met that you tried to get together with before, now you have an opportunity to actually meet. So there is some good energy here for connecting. The trine is a very nice energy. That's helpful. It's just a matter of being able to combat the Mercury retrograde so that your two schedules can sync up long enough for you guys to get together. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. And the two of them are in inconjunct signs. It's like the two of you are coming from different points of view that are so different. It's like you're talking a different language. So trying to work out something, or even just trying to get together so that you can plan a party or a date or something, it's tough right now because you both are coming from very different perspectives. And ideally what you do is just wait till outside this 2-week period, because this energy will line up. But in the meantime, recognize that whatever you think that your partner is saying or requesting or upset about, it may not be what exactly they are upset about. Because there is a language barrier between the two of you right now. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Venus, which is making that nice trine to Uranus, which could mean some unexpected windfall could come during this 2-week period. This may be related to your job. This could mean that you get a bonus, or they give you a gift card, or perhaps if you're looking for a new job, you do get more money, or that you actually do get the job. So you've got opportunities there. If you own a business, this could be, a big client or some other money. It could be a refund that you're getting that you didn't expect. So you do have the possibilities of a windfall during this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, it looks like you're not necessarily taking the action that's the most effective right now, which makes sense because, a couple of planets that are like Mercury and Mars, when they go retrograde, they can cause a lot of little hiccups and hang-ups in the process. And so it's quite possible that you're taking your foot off the gas so that you can look around and see what needs to be changed or repaired or adjusted. So your focus is less on pushing forward right now, which it's not good to push forward right now because we have these planets going retrograde. So it makes sense that you are focusing more on the mechanics of the business rather than getting to the finish line. Now, when it comes to money from your career, so that would be like a paycheck, it's an entirely different story. This is the Venus trine Uranus. So this is your opportunity to make more money in your job. So this is a great time to sit down and talk to your supervisor, at least set the time when you're going to have that discussion. There may be also some sort of promotion possibility. So this is a very good time for you to really pursue making more money in your job. Okay, Taurus, the energy that you're doing with this new moon and Mercury and Mars going retrograde is all kind of jumbled together with communication and resources, which means that basically someone who has promised you something or something you are expecting to get may not come either on time or at all. And so you may want to make some adjustments about that. This may also be that some communication that you have done, you need to take back. That could be that you perhaps maybe signed an agreement and now you need to unravel that agreement. Or that you are looking at a contract on your desk and you have to do some negotiations to get the contract right. This is also a time where you want to take a look at your credit, your debt, all of that, and see if everything is the same as it was before, if something has changed and needs your attention, or if there's something that you should change about where you're accessing credit, or maybe money needs to be moved from one account to another. So those sort of logistical things, and you have to do those very, very carefully during Mercury retrograde, but it'll feel compelling if it needs to be done. So just don't rush it. I'm telling Taurus rising not to rush. I know you won't rush. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde. And so this combination means that this could be someone that you turned down before knocking on your door. Or this could be someone that you were only sort of interested in who wants another date. This could be meeting someone who reminds you very, very much of someone you don't see anymore. So there is a little bit of that semi-sextile, a little slight irritation, and the Mercury retrograde could bring back someone from the past, or at least kind of like the ghost of the past could come back as in the form of someone else. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Pluto, nor Venus and Mars. And so the two of you are a little bit in your own worlds. And so anything that you're trying to do together as a team, you're coming at it from such a different place that you may not be understanding each other. And this, of course, can lead to arguments or debates or disagreements. So you want to be careful, especially during this Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde time, that you don't go into some old anger or old frustration, but instead realize that the two of you are just out of sync right now. And this is a temporary situation. It's not going to last more than a couple of weeks. So, but during this time, recognize if you think your partner's trying to tell you something, it may not be what they're trying to tell you. Or if you think you know what they mean, they may not mean that thing. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is retrograde, and moving back to make an opposition to Jupiter. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So this is a very good time for you to be making money, especially from sources you've made money from before. So that should be the focus on finding returning customers, contacting returning customers, going back over investments that you've done before to see if they would be viable investments again, or looking at other sources of income or windfalls that you've had in the past. Those are the things that can come around during this time. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury retrograde is coming back to make that exact opposition with Jupiter. So if you didn't get the extra money that we had talked about, I think probably the last video or 2 videos ago, then this is coming around again to give you another opportunity to grab hold of those funds. If you did make money the first round, then it's even easier to make money on the second round. So this is a really, it can be an extremely profitable time, but it's a very good time for finding new opportunities that will make you money. Now, when it comes to money from your career, so that would be like a paycheck. Now, because Mercury is retrograde and it's making a square to Neptune, it may be a little too contentious right now for you to approach your supervisor about something. They may just be in a bad mood, or if you feel overworked or something like that. If you've already started the process, you may still have to get in there and fight for your raise. But otherwise, it may, if you hadn't already started the process before Mercury went retrograde, then you want to leave it be until after Mercury goes direct. It will make this square again, and you'll have another good opportunity. But right now, with Mercury retrograde and it doing the square, it may be too contentious right now to get what you want. Okay, Gemini, the energy of the new moon and Mercury and Mars retrograde is really pulling a lot of energy around your finances and relationships. And so this could mean that someone who has promised you to help you or give you some support is now backing off, or they are at least having some questions about it. Or perhaps you were giving someone money and now you would like to change the terms of that relationship and do something different. This is also maybe you two as a couple coming in and possibly having a disagreement about money, or at least trying to find a new way of handling money. This also could be around possessions, what you own and something connected to a relationship. So where possessions are being divided up, or you're trying to return possessions to someone. So the energy here is very much, it needs you to take it slow, take it step by step, not jump to conclusions, and then something can be worked out. But the tendency is going to be to try to move quickly on it, and you're a very quick thinker, so you may try to jump in and solve the problem, but I'm going to ask you, try to go slow because it is retrograde energy. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a semi-sextile to Venus and Mercury is retrograde. So the energy is more like running into someone that you saw once or twice and they want to go out with you again, or you want to go out with them again, and trying again. Or this is something where somebody comes to you and they really remind you of someone you used to go out with, and that's either a plus or a minus. Or that you are getting ready to try online dating again, or a matchmaker again, or you are using the retrograde energy to try again. But this is a semi-sextile, so there's also a factor of irritation and something that feels like that rock in your shoe, like just that slight little, I don't really want to do it, and I know I should do it, and that can stop you from saying yes to a date or getting out of the house. Or now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the story is entirely different. Mercury is making an opposition to Jupiter, and because Mercury is retrograde, it's getting closer and closer. So the two of you are more in sync than you have been, which does mean that when you find that something that has come back up because of the retrograde, your partner's probably thinking about that thing too. And the two of you can now get on the same page and solve the issue together. This also could be that some difficulties in communication now could be worked out, that the two of you could say, oh, this is what you meant. I didn't know that's what you meant. So, and then you can find a resolution to it. You also may just find that you are more in sync and you're finishing each other's sentences and you are feeling each other's thoughts and feelings. And so you're just more connected now. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from the moon, which is doing this new moon energy at the beginning of a month with these retrograde planets, which I know seems like a little bit of a conflict because retrograde causes us to go back and do something over when there may be the desire to do something new. But what this boils down to is re-looking at something maybe that you passed up before, or maybe you started before but you didn't follow through on, and looking at it from a new perspective. This may be giving it another try. And oftentimes I think that especially with Gemini energy, that one of the reasons that you can struggle with success is you don't do things long enough. That because you process information so quickly that you kind of go out into the future and say, well, this is not going to work. And so you drop things before they can really take hold. And so here's an opportunity to go back and do something maybe that you started before. So maybe you already have a running start and put some more time and energy into it to have it be something that manifests for you. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon is making a square to Saturn. So some decisions have to be made. Some choices have to be decided, and then action has to be taken. And so this means that, if you've been kind of going back and forth, undecisive about something, you have to then choose and take the direct action. That could mean to allocate some funds or to make a business decision. It may be a difficult decision. Maybe you are thinking about letting somebody go or changing directions in your business. I want to caution you that with Mercury and Mars retrograde, this is a time to not necessarily do something like that, because if you let someone go, then you might say, oh, I really needed that person now. It would be better, though, to go back and do something that you had started, a decision that you started that just needs to be completed. And that's usually some sort of action like, maybe it's the employee handbook or some videos for YouTube or some investments that you had thought about doing and now you're going to do. And then when it comes to money derived from careers, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon's making a trine to Mars, but remember, Mars is going retrograde on December 6th. So that means that you've got a little tiny bit of a window to get something started. And then when Mars goes retrograde, it is either that you can go back and look at the issue of you getting more money in your job, or your boss is going to say, hey, let's put this off until after the end of the year, in which case it probably is going to be put off till the end of February when Mars goes direct again. So if you are already, though, in the process of talking about getting more money or a different position, then this Mars retrograde could be good for you. And so you'd wait till after December 6th and readdress this so that during the retrograde period, this change in your job can be completed. Okay, Cancer, this energy of the new moon and Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde is all about how you're taking care of yourself, how you're getting all the things done in your life, what your job is requiring of you, your commute, and how that maybe interrupts your exercise and things like that. So basically, it's time to go back and look at how you can structure your days so that you can take care of yourself, whether that's through, eating or socializing or sleeping. It's all about putting yourself first for a change and actually focusing on methods and strategies so that your schedule will work for you. It's also quite possible that there has been some changes in your work that now have brought something to you that you have to relearn, or you have a new team member, so you have to re-solidify the team. So it's possible that this is some sort of external disruption that is then causing your schedule to go a little wonky. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Pluto, but it is making a lovely trine to Mars, which is going retrograde. So the energy here is that either the two of you are trying to get together, like you met each other online and now you want to have an in-person meeting, but you are finding that your schedules are not meshing, or that they live far away, and so it just takes a lot of effort to get the two of you together. Or that somebody from your past is coming back for another round. Now, this would be more likely somebody who you just saw once or twice, or maybe they were an acquaintance or a friend, rather than like an ex coming back, because this is your energy of new love. So this would be someone that you didn't know very well, or maybe you just spoke to them through text or emails, and now you're going to get together in person. It is also possible that you're meeting somebody who reminds you of someone from your past. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a square to Saturn. That's pretty volatile energy at this time, especially with a couple of retrograde planets like we have. Actually, we have more than that, but these particular retrograde planets, which can be a little contentious. So what could be happening is that there's kind of a struggle between one of you having big picture ideas and the other trying to get the details done, or one of you very focused on the details while the other person is saying, hey, those details will just work themselves out. Now, this doesn't have to be a contentious time between the two of you. It could be that you two are a united front going against an external force, and that might be something to do with schedules and work, and how you're getting to work and who's taking care of the kids and that sort of thing. But in this scenario, the two of you are uniting together to battle something that is outside of the relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from the sun, which is in that area of the routines and the processes and how to get things done. And with all of this energy about it's now necessary for you to take care of yourself while getting all of these things done, and with these retrograde planets, the source of your money is when you get the productivity right, then the money flows in. And that doesn't mean that it has to be right 100% of the time, or for 100% of the circumstances, but just the small tweaks that you do, or just to get back on track. Like if you've found that you've been distracted lately, getting back on the job, and that can be your job, or it can be your side business, or just the awareness of, that other people have resources and they have offered these to you. So getting back on track that way can help you gain more money. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus, but it is making a square to Saturn. So you do have big opportunities to make more money, but you have to fight for it. And that might mean fighting the competition, or fighting the desire to not do work, or trying to pull your team together so that you're going for the goal, or discussing things with your broker and then making decisions. So all of these things are really to say that there is a bit of a struggle. That struggle could be within you, or it could be that there are external distractions holding you back, but there is a big prize there. There is more money. You just have to push that obstacle aside. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a semi-square to the sun. Now, that means that you would really, really like your boss to just come and say, you've been doing an amazing job and we want to give you more money. And yet your boss does not want to do this. And you may feel like the last thing you want to do is to go in and ask for a raise. And you don't have to. And that is that you can just wait until these aspects line up better, because a semi-square is not the easiest of aspects. But if this is something that you've been wanting to do and you feel like it's time, then you need to get past the idea that they're going to offer this to you, because the semi-square is just too difficult. You have to go in and bite the bullet and say it. You are going to feel great that you just said it. But again, like if you wanted this to absolutely be smooth and easy, this is not the right time to ask for a raise. I would only do it if you want to overcome your nervousness about doing it, or if you already started the process before and this is just, you're just continuing the process. Okay, Leo, when we look at this new moon as well as Mercury and Mars retrograde, the energy is very much caught up in taking a lot of interest in your kids, more than usual, maybe being worried about your kids or trying to find different ways of helping them, maybe learning a secret about your kids that reveals something about their personality to you. This also could be about feeling a little overwhelmed in your life in general, and so looking for some sort of escape. And that escape could be, any of the usual types of escapes, anything from television to drinking to drugs or things like that, but looking for some sort of escape. This also could be that you are thinking in terms of a love affair, but from a place of being secret about it. So that might mean that you're having a secret affair, or that you are just kind of thinking about the possibilities, but not letting the other person know that you're interested in them. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mars is not making an aspect with Jupiter, this is where the new moon is, and so there is some real activity going on when it comes to love relationships for you. Something new could happen because of Mercury and Mars being retrograde, especially, Mars will start retrograde in your own sign. This could bring back someone to you who maybe you saw them once, but the love affair didn't happen, or that the two of you connected by phone or text, but you hadn't met yet. So there could be something, because you're doing that energy of secret romance, this may be something that, gets kindled at your workplace, but they have a no fraternization policy, or there is something otherwise keeping it, that you want to keep the whole connection under wraps. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between the Sun and Uranus, but there is a square happening between Sun and Saturn. And this can indicate that the two of you are coming together and needing to work out something. This may be regarding your finances or long-term planning around finances. This could be also something to do with just scheduling time with the kids, and that maybe one or more of your kids needs extra attention right now, and how to work that out with your schedule. The best use of this energy is, of course, to be a united front and then work together against some sort of common foe, which is, to deal with something outside of the relationship. But it is possible that you two are coming together to work something out, and that it's necessary for one or both of you to concede or to accommodate the other. That might not be you, that might be your partner. So, but if you are, coming to whatever point of contention you have with an idea that you do want to find a resolution, then you'll be able to. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is retrograde, which means that it's time to go back and look at some of the money-making things you've done in the past and see if they need to be changed, if they are still working for you, or if you want to get those started, like things that you had looked at before but you didn't really get going. Now it's time to go back and look at how to get it moving. This is also about energy around risk-taking, and that doesn't necessarily mean leveraged investments. This may just mean stepping out of your comfort zone to ask for the sale, or to ask for money, or to look at other money-making opportunities. So the retrograde can really be in your favor during this time. It may bring money that was owed to you back to you. But this is mostly about re-looking at some money-making opportunities that you had in the past and seeing if they're more viable now. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making a square to Neptune. They're both retrograde. And so this is about going back in and looking at some creative solutions for problems that you've had, is to maybe look at problems from a different angle, or to see if what you've already implemented is working, and if it hasn't, to redo and find another solution for it. But because you're doing the square, you are likely to make more money during this 2-week period when you implement changes, or when you basically fight for those different changes or direction that you're going. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be a paycheck, you have really good energy. You've had it for a little bit, and now Mercury retrograde is coming back to make an opposition with Jupiter. They're in mutual reception, and it's Jupiter's in a money house. So you have a ton of things that say, if you've already started the talks for getting more money in your job, or to get a new job that will pay more, this is really good energy for moving that forward. If you are just thinking about starting those talks now, this is, Jupiter's retrograde, Mercury's retrograde. You may get bumped into the next year. So, but at least you'll start the process. And you will have one more opportunity after Mercury goes direct, where these two planets are going to line up again, and you'll have some positive energy again. So this is a great time for to start visualizing it, to start planting the seeds, or to sit down and actually have the conversation. Okay, Virgo, when we look at this new moon, which is at the base of your chart, as well as Mercury retrograde and Mars going retrograde, the energy is very much about looking at your home and deciding what you're going to do with that in the future. And so that might mean that you're thinking about putting it up for sale next year, or maybe you want to buy a home next year. Perhaps you are looking at some renovations, or talking to a friend about them moving in, or maybe somebody is going to be moving out of your home. So there's a lot of things about thinking about the future, and if you're living in the right place. And that can be, are you living in the right house? But also, is this the right city? Is this the right state? Or is this the right country to be living? So there's a lot of thought that is happening. Because those two planets are retrograde, you might not take a lot of action over this next 2 weeks, but more just mull over the decisions. This may also indicate that there is some connections that are happening out in the world that are going to help you and your family. And so exploring those, that might be, there's some community benefits that you could get, or maybe a friend is going to help you with doing some sort of equity share home purchase or something like that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's not making an aspect with Saturn, but Mercury is retrograde. And so over the course of this 2-week time, it is going to line up, and there will be some energies. It's a square. And so that means that over this 2-week period, someone may ask you out, or they suggest that they're going to fix you up on a blind date, or that you should go out and meet somebody. So you may get pushed in that direction. And because it's a square, you might not feel that willing to do it, but there could be some relationship possibilities if you just go with the flow. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making a square with Neptune, and they are both retrograde. And so it is possible that an old point of contention, an old argument resurfaces, something that you thought was long done, but there obviously were still some hurt feelings on one side or the other, and you have this opportunity to put it to bed once and for all. So it is also possible that the two of you are coming together to fight something that is external to the relationship, but again, you thought it was done and it's rearing its ugly head again, but the two of you can stand together, shoulder to shoulder, to face this obstacle. So the square indicates that you can be victorious in this, or if this is with your partner, don't focus so much on winning, but to find some sort of mutual win-win for the two of you. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Venus, which is making a wonderful trine to Uranus, which means you may be filled with incredibly good ideas right now. You should be writing these down. You may not be able to work on these or implement them at this time, but if you make a note of them, you can come back later. It is also quite possible that someone is going to give you an opportunity to make more money, but it's outside of your comfort zone and you are ready to jump out of that airplane, whether your parachute's ready or not. So it looks like you would be taking a risk at this time. And this doesn't have to be a monetary risk. This could just be speaking in front of people or letting people know of your services, or posting your ad, or launching your website, or something like that. So but it does look like you are being bold and out there, and that's going to help your money. Now, when it comes to income from business or from investments, it looks like you're making about the same as usual. So a lot of the things that we're talking about with your money are more long-term projects, and the results come in after this 2-week period. There's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars, so you're not really connecting yet with the bigger money, so you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the Venus is making a semi-square to the moon. So you're doing an aspect, and an aspect is very important if you're trying to achieve something. However, this is not the easiest of aspects. This is an aspect that has a lot of friction connected to it. Now, that friction could be from your boss saying, we're so close to the end of the year, let's just wait until your annual review, or we're so close to the end of the year that I can't make any decisions on that, or it's out of my hands. Or the friction is you saying, I don't really want to ask, I would rather they just offer. So if you want to utilize this energy, you have to do that hurdle. You have to get past the friction and do it anyway. That said, your chart will line up better in the future, and so there will be some opportunities that are much easier. So you may just want to wait for that. Okay, Libra, when we look at this new moon, as well as Mercury retrograde and Mars going retrograde, the overall energy says that there is a lot of activity happening with your career, and paperwork or contracts or agreements or marketing, all of that sort of thing, they're all kind of jumbled together. And so it's Mercury retrograde, but you may be looking at signing a contract or doing an agreement or extending your employment, or doing something that is fairly big during this time. And signing a contract during Mercury retrograde can be problematic because you may later find that you missed something that was important, or you might later regret signing the contract and wish it was changed. So go in really slowly and carefully. You can sign a good contract during Mercury retrograde, and what would happen is that then that contract might repeat. And I should say, if you've already in the past signed a contract that was quite similar, so if this is contract employment or something that happens fairly regularly, like a lease, then it's not so worrisome. It's just that the Mercury retrograde just continues to bring it to you. This is also about your marketing, and that can be everything from redoing your resume to how you market your business. And so there's a lot of focus right now on what you're sending out there. So it's time to stop and reevaluate what you're putting out in the world and see if it is benefiting you, if your message is clear, and if it's really helping you, which is similar to benefiting you. I guess I should say, if you're in sales, this could be a great time to go back to people who are on the fence, or you even got a no from, and then check in and see if they're now ready to buy. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a lovely trine to Uranus, which means that you could meet someone new during this 2-week period. Now, with all the retrograde energy that's happening, it's possible that you find that you crossed paths before, but you didn't go out, or you went out once, but it didn't go anywhere, or they had knocked on your door before, but you hadn't answered because you were in another relationship. There could have been some sort of past history between the two of you. It's also possible that they just remind you of someone that you know, and that's where the retrograde energy is coming in. But a trine to Uranus indicates that it could be really fun and it could be like a different relationship than you've had in the past. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, and so the two of you are, everything's fine, like you're moving along as usual. Because there's no aspect, it's difficult to work out problems together, especially things that are complex that could come back up during a retrograde time. So try to put things off until after this 2-week period. If your partner comes and they say, I really want to discuss this, we have to get this solved, it's going to be very challenging because the two of you are on a different page right now. You're just out of sync. And so that means that you'll have to work harder to listen and try to get them to listen. So again, if you can put off anything major that you're trying to do with each other until after this 2-week period, that would be good. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from both Mars and Pluto is now in Aquarius. Mars is going to go retrograde, and they're going to oppose each other, which is very strong energy. You've already had this aspect once, and that was early November, and you're going to get this aspect again, and that'll be early January, and then you'll get it one more time in late April. And that is a powerhouse of energy. So go back and look at your calendar at what you were doing about money and money matters around the beginning of November, and then make some adjustments. And that's what you're supposed to do because Mars is retrograde. Take a look at what happened and say, how can I do this better? How can I be more effective or more productive or more profitable? And make those adjustments. And then that energy will grow and grow and grow as we get closer to the beginning of December. We'll talk a lot more about it then. And then you should have smooth sailing when we get to April, at least for money. There are eclipses in April. Oh no, the eclipses are in March. So yeah, so April could be smooth sailing. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, nor is it making an aspect with Pluto. And that kind of means that you're making about the same as usual. And that is because most of this energy happens a month from now, not 2 weeks from now. So that is that right now you're laying the groundwork for bigger opportunities. And so again, go back to early November and see what you were doing, make your adjustments, make the tweaks to the process so that a month from now, and I mean a month from this new moon, then you have everything lined up to have a big win. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, the sun's not making an aspect with Pluto, but it's making a lovely trine to Mars. And that gives you an opportunity to make more money in your job. That means that this is a good time to sit down with your boss and discuss your career trajectory. If you are interviewing for a new job, you could get that offer and make more money. So the energy is quite favorable now for pushing for more money, despite the fact that the planets are retrograde. Okay, Scorpio, when we look at this new moon, as well as Mars going to go retrograde, Mercury already being retrograde, the energy all lines up to say that you are going to be doing a lot of thinking about how you are using your resources for the things that you want to do. And that means specifically, how are you spending money on education? What are you spending on travel? And how your money is affected by legal matters or government paperwork or applications or things like that. So this is where the focus is, especially if some of these things began already and they need to be finished. So this may mean that you are looking at student loan issues or looking at getting a scholarship. This could be that you are looking at ways to spend less money about travel or spend more on travel. It's possible that you're winding up a lawsuit or that you are applying for some government program, and so the application needs to be done. This is also about your philosophy about money, like what you feel like is money difficult to get a hold of? Does money come when you do XYZ? So what is your personal philosophy about money? Because that, changes your behaviors, which then changes your outcome. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Pluto is making an out-of-sign sextile with Neptune, and Jupiter is making a sesquiquadrate to Pluto. So the out-of-sign sextile is okay. It just means that you've got to change things up a little bit to meet somebody new. That sesquiquadrate means that maybe someone is coming in, but the timing isn't ideal. And that's possibly the timing's not ideal for you. Maybe you're traveling. Maybe you are very busy right now. Or that they're not quite out of their relationship yet. So there are some timing issues during this time, so you may want to wait until at least some of these retrograde, well, at least Mercury retrograde clears. This energy is going to shift and change over the course of next year, so there are going to be some opportunities. Right now, this is an opportunity. It's just not the smoothest. There's something that'll be a little unusual about this connection. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, nor is it making an aspect with Mars. So the two of you are not really in sync at this time, which means that you can be perfectly happy. You're doing your stuff, they're doing their stuff, but it's very hard to come together to work out something because you're just coming from such different perspectives right now. You may be focused on the kids while they're focused on their job or getting a new car. Like you've divided up the work and you're each in your own little cubicle, but it's hard to have a meeting of the minds during this time. Again, it can be a very peaceful time because the two of you are just working on what is your sphere, your arena. But if you're trying to work out an issue, it's going to take real careful attention, real listening skills, because the two of you are a bit out of sync. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Jupiter, which is in a money house and is retrograde. It's been retrograde for a while, and so it's quite necessary for you to go back and mine some of those resources that you have tapped into before. So this is going back to old customers and seeing if they'll refer somebody to you or if they'll take on some of your new products or things like that. This is about looking at past investments that you did and what worked and what didn't work and making some adjustments that way. So the focus is really on looking at what you've done before and making some adjustments so that you can make it new for the future. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, you have really excellent energy. This new moon is in your house of money. Additionally, Mercury and Jupiter are in mutual reception. They are approaching a very strong opposition. So you had this energy once before. Well, you didn't have the new moon part, but you had the opposition part once before. And so you can look back over the last several weeks or a couple of months and see how it's been going for you, and then make some adjustments to improve things. But what this says is there's something new that's familiar, that's coming in. And so I know that sounds a little odd, but it's either like a very similar job opportunity or very similar project is coming in, like you know how to do this, but it's still new for you, or it's some sort of investment that is familiar to you. And you could make more money over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, again, the financial energy that you're doing is extremely strong right now, but we do have a lot of planets retrograde. So if you already started the conversation, like for the new job or with your current boss about getting more money, then this is a great time to continue that conversation and get the whole deal put to bed. But if you want to just start it now, you can. Retrogrades give us an opportunity to go back and start something that we should have started before, but we didn't feel like it was the right time or we missed the opportunity. So if you haven't started that conversation, then start it now. And even if it takes Mercury going direct, which will be, in a few weeks, even if it takes that much time to get this done, at least you're starting on some good energy. Okay, Sagittarius, when we look at this new moon, as well as Mercury going retrograde and Mars going retrograde, well, Mercury is retrograde and Mars will be going retrograde, the energy is all centered around you looking again at whether you're going to do things all by yourself or whether you're going to accept help from others and utilize some of the resources around you. And so this can mean that, sometimes we get offers for, help, but we don't want to take that help, or that help comes with a lot of strings attached. So you may be weighing these things. It may not be as cut and dried as I'm going to do it all myself or I'm going to get help. There could be some extenuating circumstances, and that's what the retrograde is for, is to look at that and renegotiate it. This is also about some opportunity perhaps for a leadership role that was offered to you before and now it's coming around again. And there is some energy here about an intimate relationship coming back into your life, or that the focus moves again towards intimacy between the two of you. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mars is not making an aspect with Jupiter, you have such strong relationship energy this time. You could still meet someone for a love relationship, but what is more likely is someone will come to you and be interested in, then you have to decide whether you want to proceed. And so because this is retrograde energy, it could be someone from your past, someone maybe that you knew in a different capacity, like you worked together before, you were friends before, or they are somebody who reminds you of someone from your past. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making an opposition to Jupiter. They're in mutual reception. They're both retrograde. And so the two of you have more harmony in your relationship now than you've had in a while. You're more able to come together and find ways to compromise with each other and make adjustments for each other. It's easier to solve old problems, and old problems may come up, but now the solution seems more obvious. It's also easier for you guys to unite together for some external issues that you're dealing with and be on the same page as you're dealing with those. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Saturn, which is now not retrograde. I mean, it's one of the few things not retrograde in this chart, and that means it's time to move forward on some ideas. Now, you have new moon energy that helps you move forward. You have retrograde energy that is pulling you back. So this is not the easiest time to move forward. It's kind of like moving forward like that guy who's walking forward, but the wind is blowing against him. It's that sort of energy. So that doesn't mean it's wrong to do it. Just because you're receiving some pushback on some things doesn't mean that you're going the wrong direction. Because it's Saturn. Saturn says, like, at least you're getting a workout too. Like you're straining some muscles, and so therefore you're stronger when this is done. So, and I know that doesn't sound very fun, but this is a time where, as you push against the opposition, when the opposition stops, you'll look around and you'll be much farther along than you expected. So this is a time, even if maybe you yourself are the opposition and saying, I don't want to do this, I don't feel like it, I don't think it's going to work, and push against that. Or there may be some external forces that say, like, I wish you were doing something else than this, or you shouldn't be doing this. Before you say okay to that, examine their motivations for saying that and their experience. Are they coming from a place where they know better, or are they just saying that? Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon's making a square to Saturn, which is there is money to be had. You have to go into the battle of business to go and get it. That means you have to go in and negotiate or to fight for the sale. You have to go in and do the battle. And when you do, you come out victorious. When you don't, then you don't. So, and that's kind of up to you, but that means that there are opportunities to make more money in your business, especially over this next 2 weeks, or your investments or your passive income sources. It just means pick up your sword and start to hack away at this, because you can win. Now, when it comes to money derived from careers, so that would be like a paycheck, it is a different story because there's no aspect going on between Venus and Saturn. However, Venus is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So you have a hidden aspect. So that means that it's going to feel like things are not going to work out, and then they can. And so as you're not going in as aggressively as with business income, but be more subtle and start to drop some hints. Go back and finish a conversation maybe you started when some of these other planets were direct, and just get the conversation going, and you may get pleasantly surprised over this next 2 weeks. Okay, Capricorn, when we look at this new moon plus Mercury retrograde and Mars going retrograde, there's a lot of energy around secrets about yourself or others coming to light, and that causing you to alter how you think about the relationship or that person, or how you're seen. And this doesn't need to be some sort of, bad secret. This can just be that they didn't know that you loved bowling, and so that comes out, and then they're a bowler too, and wow, you didn't know you had that connection. This can also be that someone from your past returns for some sort of connection with you, which means your ex comes back, or an ex-business partner, or you run into someone from school that you haven't talked to in a long time, that maybe the two of you had talked about doing something together, and now you're older and you could go backpacking through Asia together or something like that. So there are some opportunities to bring someone from your past back into your life. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. However, Venus is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, so you have a hidden aspect. And then you have all this other stuff that I was talking about secrets and all of that. So having a secret affair could happen, and that may be you just don't want to tell people because you don't know if it's going to work out. It doesn't have to be something nefarious. It can be something that you just aren't publicizing that you're going out with this person. So it also could be that you meet the person in kind of an unexpected way, and that is that you hardly ever go to this particular Starbucks, but that's where you meet the person. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a square to Saturn, which does mean that the two of you are trying to work out something together, and you are coming at it from rather contentious viewpoints. With all the retrograde energy, this could be something that you thought was solved in the past and now is back at the forefront, something you have to solve together. And so it's necessary for you to kind of do, I'm not going to say a battle, but this is rather contentious energy where the two of you want to be right, you want to win, and it's necessary to find a way so that you don't have to fight with each other, that you could, if you're going to use all this contentious energy, to bond together so that you can fight something external. And that's what this could also be. That could be that the two of you are facing something that you have to do together. That there's some big opportunity, but it's going to take you both agreeing, like a job opportunity across country, or maybe a change of schedule or something like that. Or that there's something like you're trying to get a refund or something, and you just need each other to help you do whatever it is out in the world. And so therefore the two of you are shoulder to shoulder working together. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Saturn, which is in your area of contracts and communication, as well as Uranus, which is making a lovely trine to Venus. And that could mean that there are a ton of new ideas that you're getting at this time, and you need to write these down. Keep a record of them for when you have time to kind of flesh them out more fully or to explore them more fully. So this is an abundance of different ideas. Some of these are going to be outside your comfort zone, and so it would be a good idea right now to kind of step out of that comfort zone. Maybe it involves sales or making some sort of bigger deal. And so just to test the waters, to see if you can put the toe in the water and see if it's going to be okay. Because oftentimes what happens is that as we push against our boundaries, then our boundaries do expand and things that were uncomfortable become comfortable. And so this is an opportunity to do that. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus, but it is doing a square to Saturn. And that indicates that there are some hard things that you have to do, and those things are lucrative. Those things could bring you money. And that might mean calling up a customer and saying, you got to pay me, or sending out some new sales pitch. This may be sitting down and having a difficult conversation with your broker. But as you do those more difficult things, you could see the profits roll in during this 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, Uranus is making an out of sign trine with Pluto. So you still have very positive energy. You had it a couple of weeks ago. You're having it again. And that means, especially if you started the conversation about getting a raise or a new job that's going to pay you more money, now's the time to continue that conversation and get the deal done. So you will have some positive energy coming up again either later this year and again, I think in 2025. So this isn't your last chance to do this, but this is a great opportunity if you want to make more money in your career. Okay, Aquarius. This new moon, along with Mercury retrograde and Mars about to go retrograde, is pulling together some energy that says that it's time to look at your daily routines and make some changes in those. And that could be, finding a group to exercise with, or going to a new place to do your exercise, or getting involved with a group that does healthy eating, or shifting your work so that you're doing more networking. This may be getting with a friend and starting a business together, or doing some sort of activity with a friend or a group of friends that is more healthy, or helps you with your productivity, or just, is a better thing to be doing during the day. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an inconjunct to Uranus. I had to check. And Mercury is retrograde and Uranus is retrograde. So what this is that somebody that you may have passed up before, or had passed you up before, now becomes an opportunity again. And so that might mean someone you just conversed with on social media or on a dating site, but you didn't actually meet, or you went out once in college, and now there's an opportunity again. So there's some connection to the past. This may be that they just remind you so much of someone you used to date, but the energy here is about the opportunity to come together, but it's not that smooth because it's an inconjunct. And an inconjunct does mean that there's an aspect, and so you can come together, but it's not the most comfortable of aspects. And so it may be like their sweetheart from college phones you up and says, wow, I'd really like to get together. But of course, they live in France and you don't. And so it could be something like that. That's the uncomfortable part of it. So the energy is there, but it's going to take a little effort to make it really smooth. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus, it is making a square to Saturn. And that indicates that the two of you are trying to work out something. You are both wanting to be right, and you may be bumping heads during this 2-week period. The better use for this energy is for the two of you to be a united front against something that you are battling that's in the external world. And so that can be, something like the two of you going for a loan, or starting a business, looking for funding, that you're dealing with a neighbor who's difficult, but being a united front, and then the two of you shoulder to shoulder are going at something that is difficult. And it doesn't necessarily need to be something that's super contentious. It could just be you're both, trying to run a marathon, or that you're both working side by side to get a business project done. But if you are not shoulder to shoulder, then you may be trying to work out something with each other, and this could be a contentious time. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Neptune and Jupiter. They are both retrograde, and this is that there are a ton of new ideas and opportunities out there. Some of these you passed up before, and now it's time to look at them again. This is less about looking at new things. This is more about looking at things you've looked at before, but from a new perspective. So thinking about maybe something that you passed up before because it looked too time-consuming. Think of, how could I do this in half the time? Or what would be the exact opposite of this type of opportunity that could still bring money? Or, how could I get other people to help me with this if it was a solo venture before? So it's taking what had money opportunities and looking at them from a fresh perspective. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making a square to Neptune, which means that you have to do something that's challenging or difficult, and then the profits roll in. And that may be, sitting down with your broker and having a hard conversation about, their decision making and what you want, or doing this with your business partner or an employee. This may be that you need to really focus to get a big business project done, or perhaps call up a supplier and say to them, I'm not happy with what I'm receiving, or call up a customer and say, it's time for you to pay your bill. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, even though Jupiter is not making an aspect with Mercury, the new moon is there. You've got a lot of planets in money houses. So this could be a good time to continue a conversation you already started about making more money. So if you got put off in the last month or a couple of months about making more money, this might be the time to plant those seeds to get an interview with your boss, or to move something along with a new company so that you can make more money. So the energy is there. It's necessary for you to push along something that was already started. Okay, Pisces, this new moon, along with Mercury retrograde and Mars about to go retrograde, combines some different energies together that say that you're probably at this time looking at your career and wanting to do something that's more creative or more fun, and thinking of ways to do that. Or this is about injecting more creativity into your existing job. So maybe by doing some social media, or maybe just, carving out more time so that you can do your hobbies, your fun things, and getting your work done in a more compacted time. This could also be related to your kids, and so you may be helping your kids find a job or do better in school or with their social activities at school. This can be that you're spending more time than usual, maybe looking at taking them to art classes, or going to the school play, or helping them, do art contests or do a music recital or something like that. And during this time, your career energy is very active. So if you're already looking for a job, you may get an interview. Sometimes Mercury retrograde can delay these things. So this may be that you're just in this holding pattern, but you're in the process of getting a new job. If you are starting to look for a new job during this time, double check your resume, make sure that it's, looks good, maybe update it. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Neptune's not making an aspect with the moon. However, there is a hidden aspect between Jupiter and the moon, and that is the moon is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So there is something here. It's not the strongest of aspects. It is a little bit hidden, and that can indicate that there's something about this meeting a new love where you can't be very overt, that it has to be somewhat secretive, or that it's just the barest of little seeds and it needs time to grow and blossom into a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making a square to Neptune, and that means that there is some contentious energy in your relationship over this next 2 weeks. And if you are already prone to arguing, this could make it a little bit louder. It's Mercury retrograde, so this may be that something that you thought was solved is now come back, and you get a chance to deal with it and actually solve it once and for all. But the best use of this energy is for the two of you to put differences aside and become a united front against something that is external in the world. And so that is the two of you are coming together to do a big opportunity or to deal with something that is not helpful in your lives. So, that can be, difficulty with a neighbor, or coming together because an in-law is stressing out your relationship, or that the school system is doing something but the two of you, again, putting aside your differences so that you can be united against something that's external. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mars, which is making a nice trine to this new moon. Mars is going to go retrograde, though, and the big focus on this Mars is, it says, get the work done. And so that is that maybe the plans are done and now you just have to implement. Maybe that means you need to hire somebody or go find a virtual assistant. It may mean that you need to find the software that's going to do the job for you. So, but this says, focus on actually getting the work done. That's what's going to lead you to prosperity. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, there's no aspect going on between Mars and Venus, and that means you're making about the same as usual. This can be a time where you are sending out invoices, but you're getting paid outside that 2-week period. It could be that, you made some profits in the market before and now you need to kind of look and see what you're going to invest in, or you're holding because, things are going up. And so you want to wait until the right time to sell. So you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money from your career, so that would be a paycheck, Mars is making an inconjunct with Saturn. And it is an aspect, and you need an aspect to get something to happen. However, it's not the easiest of aspects. And so this may mean that your supervisor said this is just bad timing, like I cannot talk to you about this, or they're away, so you can't talk to them anyway. So you are going to have some this energy line up again. You're going to get that inconjunct again because Mars is going to go retrograde, and then when it goes direct, you'll get this inconjunct energy again. So if you want to get this raise over the next few months, you're probably going to have to face the inconjunct and see if there is some way that the two of you can come together, even though it may not be convenient for them or you, or there's some other concessions that have to be made. As we get more into 2025, then you are going to have some positive energy with Saturn, but it's going to take a while. And that means that right now, this is the opportunity. It's not the most comfortable. If you're willing to wait, probably 6 months or so, then the energy is going to line up to be better. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know more about your chart, I do readings. There's a link in the description. If you would like a copy of your chart to help you follow along, that's free. There's a link in the description. Also, check out my newsletter that comes out once a month, and I do all of the highlights of what is happening over the course of the month. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.